a little bit more, pushing boxing, getting, kids in the ring, getting them to get out their frustrations. People think, that boxing is violent because it's fighting, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Like you said, this is what gets kids off the streets. This is what gets them healthy, gets them focused, gets them into a position where they're 100% healthy. They do better in school, and they get a lot of that aggression now.
Yeah.
Part of it is being a teenager is some of this aggression. There was a kid, 6-year-old, stabbed just yesterday on 4th Avenue, a block away from where the gym would have been. So you're kind of seeing a correlation, in my opinion, where kids are not hitting the gym, hitting the bag. They're on social media, they're on video games. They still have a lot of this anxiety, a lot of this pelt-up aggression. And I think boxing was a great way to
giving them medication that they don't necessarily need when they could just be out playing or exercising, whatever it is. And a lot of the people who are trained fighters, most of them, I would think, aren't the ones that are out there looking to start a fight. They're generally, they're getting all their aggression out in the ring or on the bag or whatever the case may be, and they're not looking to beat somebody up.
Right. Now let's move on to our next topic, and that is acting. You've also been involved in acting. You really are a Renaissance man.
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. But you've interviewed some great people. You've done a lot of great things. You've worked in the world of finance, like I said, in politics, but also dabbled in acting. And you've been in some commercials, or you've been in some Amazon Prime stuff. And so, talk to us a little about that.
Well, I mean, being in the TV world and entertainment world, I mean, I can probably, I'm not an A-list celebrity. I don't know where I am between A and Z, but I think it's closer to Z.
On the Leah McCabe channel, you're an A-list celebrity.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm moving on up. My career's about to take off thanks to Liam.
That's it. You're a big star.
But you meet a lot of different people who are doing different projects, and you get involved with them. And I've done. I think my first acting was with Pressed, a battle rap movie, which we filmed. I played Sal, who was a racist record executive in there. I had a few scenes in there. We're actually filming the sequel within the next month, and I'm interested to see what happens to the character Sal. I might have to shave the beard again, because in that role he was clean cut, he was heavier than I was before. So maybe I put on some pounds for the sake of the role, so I could look more like I did 4 years ago.
Anything for the art, right?
There you go.
If it calls for Chicken Parm Heroes, it calls for Chicken Parm Heroes. You kind of got that biker thing going. Sons of Anarchy look now.
Well, I originally grew the beard, actually, because I was always clean shaven and fade, short hair and everything. But I got casted for a role as a Viking, which still is yet to be produced, and who knows what happens with that. But that was almost 2 years ago, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. But whether or not it's going to be filmed, because that happens. People get scripts, and they, productions never actually get made. But so that's what made me decide to grow the beard initially, and then it kind of grew on me, pun intended. So and then my first on Amazon Prime was with Everyday the Brand, who was actually the owner of the first internet radio station that my friend Anthony called me on to be a part of his show, which was called New York Philly Sports Talk back then. And he was working on a project. He's done plays before, and he's done numerous films before that. And he did this show called Vish Merrick, which was an urban drama. I play like a kind of a corrupt politician, and it was a good role, and it was on Amazon Prime for a while. It's not on Amazon Prime now, but the new project, which was just released a few weeks ago on Amazon Prime, is called The Needs, where I play Mr. Griffin, who's a parent of a special needs daughter. And it's kind of a parent-teacher conference type of situation, but specifically for parents of special needs kids. And the teachers are talking about different issues that they're having, and the parents are talking about different issues that they're having. It's a short film, about 40 minutes, long, and it's available on Amazon Prime now. If you don't have Prime, it's about $2 to rent, and it's called The Needs. You could look it up on Amazon Prime. It's available now. So
cool. All right, little plug there out there for everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very important topic, and it was great to be a part of it. I think it was done very well.
Yeah. Now, you talk about Amazon. I certainly have become, much more of a user of Amazon. It's sort of this new economy where, everything gets sent to us, everything's on an app. And, speaking of that kind of app economy, one of the other ways that we're connected is through Uber. And we'll just talk a little about that. Right now I work for the Taxi and Limousine Commission with their enforcement unit. So they regulate the taxi industry. But I have a history prior to that working for that agency. I was licensed by the TLC to drive, get a hack license and drive a cab. And that happened really because of my relationship with you. And you, like many of the other people I knew, there was a gentleman that owned the Irish import store in the neighborhood, also named Liam. He had an Uber license. So a lot of other people, some firefighters that I know, sort of did this on the side. And that's sort of the same way you came to driving for Uber, sort of on the side. You got a hack license, and it began to be a way you could make extra money. And eventually, when I ran for city council, I was working for Congressman Donovan, and I was looking for a job where I could balance campaigning full-time in many cases, or weird hours, and find something flexible. And that's how I came across this sort of gig economy and becoming an Uber driver. I had to go get a hack license, and I drove all around the city, and you did as well. And in the beginning, I would rent your car, and you helped me out. You helped get my start. And I think you might have made a little money by
not much, believe it or not,
by recruiting me into Uber.
I
blame you.
But the renting part, I didn't make too much off of that. I gave you the family
you
pricing.
You actually gave me a very good rate, and I just want to say thank you. That helped get me started at the time. Probably didn't have too much money to either rent a car, which you have to do, or buy your own car. And in the very beginning, it's a bit of an investment. You helped me get off the ground, so thank you.
Yeah. I mean, when I started to get the taxi plates and the insurance on my existing vehicle was about $2,500 up front. I originally started just doing it in Jersey with my car before I put the taxi plates on when Uber first started, and not everybody heard about it. This was 7 years ago when I started. Yeah. And I just wanted to see whether or not I'd be okay with, having people in the car and, all that, whatever. I always thought that it was something I'd be okay with because I really enjoy driving. I just like being on the road. I always did. So I did that, and then I took it to the next step, got the hack license, put the taxi plates on the car, and then started making money with it, and they had promotion in the month of December, that I happened to sign up in 2014, and made good money in the beginning. A lot's changed since then.
A lot has changed, yes.
And I'll get into that in a second. And then I got a second car with taxi plates, and I would rent one and drive one, or sometimes I'd rent both of them out, trying to grow that business. But the fact that a lot of things changed in the industry and several other factors, I don't have either one of those anymore, and I can't get one because the law is changing. So I sold one of my vehicles back then, and a lot of things happened. So I do it part-time still every now and then. There's different ways where you can rent for the day or, for the week or whatever the case may be. And it's a great way when you're doing a lot of other things to get additional income. I remember I was working as a financial advisor in Penn Plaza, and I would work in the morning and I'd meet people, and, as an Uber driver and a financial advisor, like if you're talking to people, they automatically have this negative stigma of you. They look down on you kind of because you're a driver, but they have no idea all the things that I've accomplished in my life. And, I used to have a lot of interesting conversations with it. Now people are just, more, I'm quiet, they're quiet.
Yeah, no, it's true. It teaches you a lot of humility. For example, I was running for the city council and driving a cab.
Yeah, it takes some pride swallowing a little bit, but the fact that I just really enjoyed driving, and it was, decent money. I'd average about $25 an hour. It would pay for my car and my parking in One Penn Plaza when I would go upstairs and with my suit and, sell insurance or whatever,
Right. But it really was a great way to meet people all across the city. You really got a real cross-section of the diversity of New York and all the different interesting people. People on the lower end of the economic spectrum, very wealthy people, like you said, financial stockbrokers and, people traveling to the far edges of the city, living in poverty, all in many cases could hop into your cab. So you really got a real sense of the diversity of New York. I thought it was really interesting. And like you said, when I was driving, if people did strike up a conversation, they might find interesting things about me, and
and vice versa. I feel that there's a lot less conversing than when I started.
I agree.
I used to have a lot of in-depth conversations, met a lot of different people. Met one person from one of the band. I can't think of the name of the band, but it's pretty popular songs that they had on the radio. And one of the players for the Giants, he was injured his rookie year. Can't think of his name either. He was a safety on the Giants, but yeah, I mean, you meet some interesting people.
You meet everybody, and it teaches you humility too, because people would be surprised who they're jumping in the cab with, and you never know who your cab driver is. Someone might have come from a different country and may have been a doctor or had some other profession, and they're trying in cases to get licensed, to get those licenses transferred, or to get whatever missing links in their education, get them qualified to be a doctor or an attorney or whatever other professional career, an engineer in the United States. Brilliant people just have to be driving a cab.
And we already plugged Uber, but they actually pay for college now for their drivers. If they're a gold member because they have an Uber Pro program, and if they've done a lifetime of 3,000 trips, then they could do. They pay for Arizona State University online. So,
right.
It would. Which is good for people. You could do part-time, and for people who want to get a degree and do something else besides Uber down the road. That's something.
Right. Now, we also drove for Lyft at the time, and really basically what it was downloading the app. So you could
download everything, and if one beeps, and pretty much most of the people do that, and that way you stay busier longer. There's less wait time in between trips, so that's one of the things that a lot of the drivers did. But and a lot's changed since then because of Mayor de Blasio. I mentioned I wouldn't be able to put taxi plates on a vehicle now, so the only option to do it now for somebody new coming in the industry is renting a vehicle because they can't buy their own, which is really not fair because they're paying rental prices significantly higher than if they made the investment for their own personal